Hello, this is Andrew, and this is going to be a short video on naming conventions and file organization for the Team 1351 Onshape CAD repository. So as you see over here, this is my intro screen for Onshape. If we go over to the Teams section, we'll go to FRC 1351, and we'll be given 3 folders. We have Team Projects, the Library, and your Personal Projects. Team projects are where multi-student or multi-member projects go. The library is a library of parts, and personal projects is where your personal projects go. So to show an example, actually a couple examples, I will go to my personal project folder, which everyone should have access to, right there. There are 5 documents in here, and I see various students have been opening them. Of the 5 documents, only 2 of them are actually good. 3 of them are tests. Actually, this one is an old document. I don't want it. So there's that. So the correct naming convention is the one shown here. It's highlighted in blue. The naming convention for the file, for your whole document for the project, should be your name, then 2 P's for personal project, underscore, and then the number of the project. So your first project will be 01, your second project will be 02, your third project will be 03, and so on. And then another underscore, the name of the project. So for me, this project is named Vroomba Redesign. And then underscore the version number. So if it's the first version of a project, you do 01. If you are redoing a project or doing a different iteration of a project with the same name, it would have both a different number, but also a different version number. So it would be Vroomba Redesign 02, Vroomba Redesign 03. That would be the second and third versions of this project with the same name. Every project should have a unique name with this system. And with that, every part in assembly should have a unique name. We'll be getting to that in a moment. So if we open it up, we'll go back to the home. We have folders for each subsystem. We have folders for Sketch, folders for the drivetrain subsystem, folders for a conveyor subsystem. This robot is not yet finished, so there's no full robot assembly just yet. And there's only 2 subsystem folders, but that's sufficient to show how things should be named. The top level of your organizational structure should have folders, and it should have the assembly. The assembly will be named the exact same as the project. So the assembly here, there's nothing in it. That's why it's empty and has the name assembly 1. But the name of the assembly will be Andrew PP underscore 01 underscore Vroomba underscore redesign underscore 01. Same as the project name. That's how it'll eventually be. From there, every subsystem folder you have follows a similar name. And you can see it highlighted down here that this folder is Andrew Personal Project 01, and then it's 01 Drivetrain. So the first part is the name, Andrew Personal Project, that says who it belongs to. The first 01 that you see, the first number, is the project number. So again, we're retaining that from the file name. The second 01 you see is the subsystem number. So this means this is the first subsystem in this project. And then after that is the subsystem name. Subsystem name is drivetrain. And the name should indicate what it is. So what this means is drivetrain is the first subsystem in the first project of Andrew. You almost read it backwards is usually the easier way. If we go over to the second one, it's 0102 conveyor superstructure. Conveyor superstructure is the second subsystem in the first project by Andrew. So through the names, we can get a lot of information about what we're looking at. This other folder is the sketches folder, and the sketches folder doesn't have a number. It's just named sketches. And it'll still be a unique identifier because each project will only have 1 sketches folder. So you have Andrew Personal Project 01 Sketches. If we enter that folder, We have the main sketch, which is called underscore sketches underscore main. This is just a common naming convention that's carried over from the past. It's a good one to know. The main sketch will have most of your detail. So this is where most of the work in the robot sketching goes. When you're making your main sketch, you want to put different subsystems and different components of the sketch into different sketches. So this is one sketch file. It's actually one part studio. But if we go over to the feature tree on the left-hand side, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different sketches. And if we take the rollback bar and roll it back to the beginning, there's nothing. The first sketch is the drivetrain, and it's a little bit more than drivetrain, but it shows a top-down view of our drivetrain, and this helps us reference our dimensions. The center is a side view, and the right side is a front view. And I'll be going into more depth on what these different views should be in the sketch later. But for now, that's just called underscore drivetrain. So the sketch names are always underscore something, whatever it is, underscore drivetrain, underscore field grid. We use underscores instead of spaces because it spaces out the names much nicer. It's easier to handle from an organization point, and it makes sure everything stays in the correct order. So that's a nice way to do it. But as you see, with every additional sketch, we add more. You add more. And so on and so on. And it is important to keep these separate for two reasons. The first is if you have them all in one sketch, it gets very cluttered and it becomes very hard to manage. The second is this makes it a little bit easier for multiple people to be working on different sketches at the same time. And that way you can work without interrupting each other too much. So that's the main sketches file. Every large project should have this. Smaller projects that are just a couple parts don't necessarily need it. When you're planning out full robots, this is a very helpful tool. And so that's the name, underscore sketches, underscore main. You can have other sketch files as well. And you should call them underscore sketches, underscore whatever the file name is. If we go back to the home, we go on over to drivetrain. There's two files in here. There's a drivetrain part studio and a drivetrain assembly. The part studios and the assembly both have the exact same name as the folder. Andrew Personal Project 0101 drivetrain, 0101 drivetrain as an assembly. We want to make sure everything has the same name because the assembly, the part studio, and the folder are all three different entities, right? An assembly, a part studio, and a folder. So those are how we differentiate them in that respect. If we go into the part studio, let that load. I have a couple parts here. I have some features. And most importantly, down in the bottom left, I have the actual bodies that represent the parts. It is important that when you create a part, you give it the proper name. And so if we highlight this one over here, I'll go over to properties. You can see the name a little bit clearer. So the name of this part is Andrew Personal Project 010101. So 3 sets of numbers. The first part, the name, Andrew Personal Project, we've already gone over. That says who it was made by. The first 01 is the project number. Again, we've done that in the past. The second 01 indicates the first subsystem, so that's the drivetrain. We have that indicated. And the final figure, the final 01, is the part number. So reading it backwards is the first part in the first subassembly of the first project of Andrew. It's a very unique name. No other part I will ever make will have this name because no other part will be the first part in the first subsystem of the first project of me. And that's why we make this naming convention. When we go over to our parts, we see the exact same thing. We have 0102 and 0103. If we go over to the part studio for the superstructure, for the conveyor, once it loads, we will see that we have a similar thing except swapping the O1 for the subsystem for O2. Here it is. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. You have Andrew Personal Project, O1, again, my name, the first project, and then O2 for the second subsystem, O1, O2, 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 O3, all the way down. Even these parts that have additional information have the same starting, O1, O2, 13. The only additional information you see here is it is a belt created by a feature in a feature script, and it gives us the tooth count of the belt. So this is very important to us to make sure that we have the right information in the part. So every part should follow this, and if you follow this rule, every single part, every single subassembly, every single part studio, assembly, every single folder should all have unique identifiers. And that's very important so that we can reference something. If we were communicating about a project we were working on together, and I told you to go check out 04, 03, 07, you would know exactly what I was talking about. I would not have to describe it to you. There would be no ambiguity. You'd say, okay, I will go to the fourth subsystem, or the fourth project, sorry. I'll go to the fourth project, I'll go to the third subsystem, and the seventh part. Or I say, okay, we're over in this assembly right here, the one that I'm presently in. If I say I want you to go to 0215, right? Within this, so the O1 is assumed. You would go to O2, the second subsystem, go to the part studio, and you would find 0215, which is this shaft right here. So if you follow this naming convention and the organization therein, then there will be no issues with how your system is organized, and it'll increase communication and hopefully eliminate mistakes. Follow these rules and everything will be great. Thank you.